I want to remind you that if you're reviewing for a test or a quiz or that, you can use the pause button on your VCR to pause the VCR after the problems come up, try them yourselves, and then press play to see how we work them here. What we want to do in this section is look at arithmetic with positive and negative numbers. Here's our first example. How about -7 subtract 3? Now, even if you don't think in terms of addition, even if you don't write this in terms of addition, you want to think in terms of addition. This problem is really -7 plus -3. Subtraction is addition of the opposite. Now, -7 plus -3 is -10. So when I do subtraction myself, I always think in terms of addition. When I see this problem, I think to myself, -7 plus -3. You can write it this way if you want, but you don't have to. You can just think it that way and get -10. So how about -7 subtract -3? That will be -7. Instead of subtracting -3, I'm going to add its opposite, +3. Now, -7 plus +3, that will be -4. Moving on down to our next problem here, problem number 3. We're going to use the multiplication before addition. I have multiplication here and addition here, so I want to multiply first. 3 times -4 is -12. Plus 2, and then adding -12 and +2, I end up with -10. So remember, according to the rule for order of operation, we multiply before we add. Here's our next one. In parentheses, I have -4 subtract 6, and then I want to, after I've simplified that, I'll multiply by 5, and after that is done, then I'll subtract what I get from 2. So let's go to the innermost parentheses first, according to the rule for order of operation, and simplify that. -4 subtract 6. Remember, we want to think in terms of addition. -4 plus -6 is -10. Now I have a choice here. I'm going to multiply 5 times -10, and here I have subtraction. I can take the subtraction sign with the 5 when I multiply, or I can leave it right here. Let's leave it for a second. And now I have 5 times -10, which is -50. And then 2 subtract -50 is 2 plus 50, which will be simply 52. Now, if I had taken the negative sign or the subtraction sign with the 5 when I multiplied, it would be -5 times -10. That would give me +50, so I would have 2 plus a +50. I'd still get 52. So you can take the negative sign or the subtraction sign with the 5 when you multiply, because subtraction is addition of the opposite. Here's another problem. Here I have some exponents. The rule for order of operation tells me I want to simplify the exponents first. I'll do that. 2 times -3 squared will be +9. Subtract 4 times -2 to the third power will be -2 times -2 times -2, which will be -8. Now I have multiplication here and here. I'll multiply before I subtract. 2 times 9 is 18. Subtract 4 times -8, -32. Now that's 18 plus 32, which will be what, 60? 50, thank you. Is that right? 32 plus 18, 32, 42, 50. Yeah, 50. So here again, the rule for order of operation tells us that we want to simplify these exponents first and then continue with our rule for order of operation. The next problem involves some variables. I'm going to have to remove these parentheses by applying the distributive property. 5 times 3y is 15y, plus 5 times 1 is 5. Now here I have subtract this quantity. What I think I'll do is think of this as adding a -1 times this quantity. So now when I multiply, I'm going to take the subtraction sign with the 1 because I'm thinking that subtraction is addition of the opposite. So -1 times 8y will be minus 8y. -1 times -5, +5. Now there's other ways to simplify this part right here, but this is the most direct way. And it's legal too because we're thinking of subtraction as addition of the opposite. Now 15y plus -8y, that will be 7y. And then 5 plus 5 is 10. So I add similar terms being terms with the same variable parts. I'm using the distributive property even if I'm not showing it. 15y plus -8y turns out to be 7y, and then 5 plus 5 is 10. So this expression right here simplifies down to simply 7y plus 10.